So right now there is a Clermont County meeting going on Zoom. There was an in-person one last week that is specific to HUD housing and things like this, low-income housing, workforce housing, things like that. Which, by the way, I'm not against this. There's a need for this type of thing, but it's this. It seems like a tick the box activity, and I just wanted to go live with it a little bit. And I'm going to put it up on the screen that they're going through these things, and they're going to talk about, the need for a homeless shelter, things like that, which I'm not against. Okay. And I think that actually they position it poorly because I think I don't want to be overly simplistic, but there's poor people that can become in a permanent dependency class. But I also think there's a lot of mega poor people that want to be conservatives, want to figure out how to get out of things. So if we could figure out how to use these HUD money to help mega type poor people move forward who want to get their feet under them, help them give it a leg up versus a permanent dependency class, it would be great. But this activity, when I went to it, the in-person version, there were only three there were three consulting people, three county people, and three citizens, one of which was a government employee. So they go through these different areas. They've already talked about some of the government stuff and poverty and things like this. They mixed up a couple times Brown County and Clermont County in their words. There's some consultant named Harsony doing this. I'm not going to play this whole thing. I don't know how long I'm going to leave it on, but I think we need to be aware of these in our community. They were just bragging about all the people participating, and I went through and looked at, in Zoom. It's in Zoom. And it looks like all the people participating are pretty much government people. So I'm gonna put it up on the screen here, and then you might not be able to hear me once it comes up.
They're based upon the kinds of things that you can do with the funding that's available. So they're not just arbitrarily chosen. That's how we picked these different topic areas or categories. Okay, now again, going back to the surveys that Donna mentioned.
So they're all over that they did a survey.
I want to repeat, we had a good
it was
number
under
of people
300 responses to the survey, and they're talking about awesome
members of the public. And
I asked at the time of the meeting if the survey was still open, and the answer was no.
Very, very good.
I asked for a copy, but I didn't really follow up on it. It seemed to be like a survey designed to
we're very pleased with that.
Tell all the great things they'd like
as
to
far as
free.
neighborhood revitalization needs based on the survey, the ones that ranked the highest were neighborhood safety and crime prevention, the revitalization of neighborhoods, the removal of blight and demolition. The top-rated infrastructure needs based on the surveys was improvements to or expansion of existing water and sewer lines, street road improvements.
By the way, I don't remember this when I saw them in
of water
person.
sewer treatment facilities.
So this is actually more crisp, but maybe I wasn't paying
now attention. Looking at some hard data on the age of the housing stock, you can see that Clermont County has less old housing stock than the state of Ohio.
I think our number one, our top needs are $100,000 and above jobs
before 1980.
The ability.
However, they do still have a significant amount of housing, particularly in that before 1980 category.
Great jobs.
And one reason that's important,
basically figuring out how to deal with
housing older than that is more likely to have things like lead-based paint and asbestos and some of those other hazardous materials that can cause problems. And of course, at this point, it's also, aging a good bit. So that for two reasons, it's important. Community needs, public facilities and services, we'll talk about next. And according to survey respondents, the following are the most important public needs. Look at facilities first. Public safety facilities such as fire or police, playgrounds, green spaces, parks.
I think this is wish list
centers ranked the highest in terms of public facilities.
I asked when I was at the other meeting, was this just like pick off of a list?
The highest
that's what they said it was.
Child care services, programs for youth, and programs for
I
seniors
don't know, for example, in
and or
Union
those with
Township where I live, that we
disabilities.
need more public safety facilities of police and fire.
Let's next look
It
at
sounds good.
housing, both rental and homeownership. Again, looking at the survey results, the highest ranking housing needs were more housing that is affordable, improved quality of rental housing, and the removal of blight and vacant homes. Again, looking at hard data,
I'm gonna
you can
take
see that
myself off the screen and just let this play
there's
for
a
a while,
fairly
but people need
large
to be aware
percentage
of this kind of
of
stuff going on.
households
And
that
it
are
shouldn't just be
living
tick the
in
box
houses
stuff.
that
It
they
should be more
own as
awareness of
opposed
this.
to
It should be
renting.
live stream for people who don't want
So
to.
that's
Way more than just
typically
government people that
a
participate
good
in this thing.
indicator. We like for people that are able to be able to afford their home. That's the American dream after all. But it doesn't work for everybody. And so we need to make sure that we have good rental and owner-occupied housing. You can see the statistics for the state of Ohio, which is more average. And then homeownership, median housing values in Clermont County, and you probably may not be able to see the numbers on the chart, but the median housing value for Clermont County is 245,600, which is higher than the state of Ohio at 199,200. And then the percentage of owners that are paying 35%, over
By the way, I
35%
want to
of income
mention
on
one quick
housing
thing that
costs
I went
in
to a
Clermont
session that was
County
after hours. This session is during the workday, so is
is
it any surprise that the
actually
government people all came to the session or coming
pretty
to the
high.
session that's during the
You
workday?
can see it's 15.6%. Rental housing, median gross rents in Clermont County are $1,000 and $1,040, excuse me. And then in the state of Ohio, it's $988. And the percentage of renters paying more than 35% of income on rent is in Clermont County lower. So kind of the reverse of what we saw with the home ownership. Fair housing. The following were identified by the survey respondents as the largest impediments to fair housing choice in Clermont County. The highest ranking was lack of affordable housing units across the county. Next were the number of people who put that they didn't believe there were barriers to fair housing choice in the county, followed by limited financial assistance for homeownership of elderly, minorities, and or those with limited financial means, and building or zoning regulations as a possible impediment. And here's the slide that we added for those of you who were at our prior meeting. We did a little exercise, what we did with the June 4th meeting, in-person meeting. We looked at each of the categories that we've been talking about, but we kind of started with a blank sheet and we asked people, what's important? What are the needs? And what are some solutions to those needs? And these are the things that rank the highest. Because we also asked people once we identified some needs in the meeting, and of course,
This was kind of a
there
joke.
were because there were only
There
a
was a
handful of people,
thing that they
we
came
were
up
only
with
able to
that had people
identify,
throw out
X
ideas.
number
People
of
have no idea what
needs
they're
in
talking
that
about,
in
including
the time that
myself.
we
No
had.
idea what I'm talking about.
So I'm sure if we'd have
Then
had
they
more
gave
time
you
and more
things to
people,
go
we could
put
have
points
even
under.
had more needs. But from the
And
needs that we
so
saw
this has
and
about as much
identified in the
value.
meeting,
A
the
lot of
highest
bad
ranking
consultants do this kind of
area
stuff. They do these
was
sessions
economic
where they're really
vitality
not
and job creation,
statistically
and
valid, they're not
specifically
intellectually
higher
valid,
paying
but then
jobs
they
and
act
job
like this is
opportunities
some big
close to
great
home
finding. We
ranked
found out how
high.
many points got assigned to things
Housing
by people
at
that had
55 points came in next
sticky
to economic
dots. And
vitality and
remember,
was
this was
split
based
between
on a
rental
total of
housing
9
and
people,
homeownership, 26
3
points each.
government,
And you can see under rental
three county
housing and
government,
code
3
compliance and the
consultants,
creation of
and 3
affordable
others. And
units
the consultants probably
ranked
didn't do the
high.
sticky dot thing, so it really could
And
only be
under
6
home
people
ownership, down
sitting in
payment
there.
assistance, addressing resistance to affordable housing such as zoning and lot size restrictions were the highest ranking areas. And then fair housing also was in that category, didn't get a lot of points, but the highest ranking in that section was assisting ex-offenders. Um, Neighborhood revitalization, safety and infrastructure got 42 points. And blighted villages was the highest ranking category within that, or subcategory in that, and that was at 22 points. And finally, public facilities and services
I
got
was the
20
champion
points
of the blight in
with
villages
the homeless
message because
shelter
if you look at
and
Clermont
facilities
County,
for homeless
many of the
needs
villages are the most
getting
blighted areas,
16
and they
points of
also have
those
the
20.
highest taxes.
So
So
that's all good and useful information
and they're
as we
primed for some sort of
move forward.
revitalization. Some of them without being villages
I
anymore.
want to find out first if we have any questions or comments on the presentation. We don't want to take a lot of time on this because we want to get into the polls, but if somebody has a burning question, do we have anything in the chat?
There's
Okay.
nothing in the chat.
Anybody want to put anything in the chat? We'll give you a minute.
Okay, I'm going to stop here. I will try to get this whole recording from them or press them to put it onto the county
Nothing
YouTube
coming
page
up.
because when I went into the Zoom meeting that this
Okay, let's
I'm
move on.
broadcasting, this was the Zoom meeting
Cindy,
said it was being
I'll turn it over
recorded.
to
So
you.
I
Okay,
will try to
it
get
is
the full recording.
time now for our polling piece. And again, it's an opportunity to hear from you. We're going to have 5 polls and we're going to click them up one at a time. So you'll complete, it's just a
All right, I'm going to end it here and I'll try to get the full video. But it's good people would know more that this stuff is even going on and actual citizens would participate versus government.